In July 2025, Ford CEO Jim Farley delivered a stark warning. Artificial intelligence is on track to replace 50% of all white-collar jobs in the United States. This trend is already visible in the hiring data. Within a single recruitment cycle, entry-level job offers for recent graduates plummet 33%, driving graduate unemployment to record highs. Tech giants like Microsoft and Google are deploying these systems to scale software production with marginal costs approaching zero. They are replacing the expensive human cognitive labor once required to build and maintain these platforms. For professionals aged 25 to 45, the traditional career ladder is breaking. Following the old rules of corporate advancement no longer provides a shield against sudden obsolescence. Corporate adoption of AI has moved beyond the experimental phase. It is now an aggressive, wide-scale implementation designed specifically to reduce human labor costs and increase shareholder yield. Amazon has used these systems for years, training machine learning models on a decade of hiring patterns to automate resume vetting. Automated decision-making is already woven into the core of modern HR operations. When a machine instantly replicates a specialized task that took a decade to master, it creates a crisis of professional identity. It replaces the pride of expertise with a sense of sudden, quiet redundancy. This shift leaves mid-career workers in an economic vacuum, forcing us to ask, is human labor losing its core economic value? In the 1930s, economist John Maynard Keynes identified a recurring phenomenon he called technological unemployment. He described it as a temporary phase of maladjustment, where we find ways of economizing labor faster than we can find new uses for it. The fear of this maladjustment is centuries old. In 1589, Queen Elizabeth I refused to patent a mechanical knitting machine, fearing it would ruin textile workers by depriving them of employment. By the early 19th century, the Luddites were physically smashing these mechanized textile looms, convinced that automated weaving would lead to a permanent end of work. In the 1920s, the tractor did the same to the American countryside. Rapid mechanization displaced millions of rural workers, sparking a massive migration toward urban manufacturing. The 2026 AI jobopocalypse is the latest chapter in this cycle. It is a recurring period of disruption that feels final while it is happening. To understand why this cycle doesn't end in mass unemployment, we have to look at compensation effects. This economic mechanism begins when automation allows a company to significantly lower its production costs. Those savings typically lead to lower prices for consumers and higher profits for firms. This creates a surplus of capital that is eventually reinvested back into the market. That reinvestment forces the creation of new industries. History shows that while automation destroys specific tasks, it expands the broader economy's capacity to fund and staff entirely new sectors. The economic ledger proves that machines don't delete work, they move it. The challenge is navigating the gap between the lost task and the industry being born. The data from 2026 shows that low-tier physical labor and mid-level administrative roles are taking the heaviest hits. These are sectors where tasks follow rigid, predictable roles. However, LinkedIn data reveals a successful transition for thousands of displaced workers. They are moving into AI supervision roles, positions that involve managing and auditing automated outputs. These new roles require characteristics a machine cannot simulate: deep empathy, creative strategy, and the ability to make complex decisions in ambiguous situations. Governments are weighing structural responses to this transition. Senator Bernie Sanders has proposed a 32-hour work week as a new standard, along with a robot tax to protect workers. Larry Page of Google has suggested a similar corporate adaptation, a 4-day work week. His argument is that as technology creates abundance, we can spread the remaining work across more people. Competing against machine efficiency is a losing strategy. The new baseline for market survival is learning to operate alongside them. Survival starts with a distinction. Automating a task is very different from automating an entire profession. Audit your daily workflow right now. Isolate the most predictable, repetitive tasks. Prepare to hand these to software. Once those tasks are off your plate, pivot your focus to the strategic and human-centric functions of your role. Focus on the high-level decision-making that an algorithm cannot process. Direct your future upscaling specifically toward these AI complementary areas. Become the person who directs the machine, rather than the person who competes with it. Automating 50% of your routine tasks provides 50% more time to execute high-level strategy, the exact thing that makes a professional indispensable.